Hi, my name's Andy Bridges. I'm going to be talking about video game addiction today. So, video game addiction is kind of a loosely termed word. Clinically speaking, people call it video game disorder or gaming disorder. And it is generally defined as problematic compulsive use of video and or internet games that results in significant impairment in an individual's function in various life domains over a prolonged period of time. Now that's the textbook definition, but obviously there's a lot more that goes into it. Up until recently, medically speaking, the word addiction was only associated with substances rather than, activity or action. And just recently, the World Health Organization has recognized this disorder of gaming disorder nationally. Studies have been going on since the 80s in video game use and addiction, but it hasn't become very relevant until, the recent decade, maybe going back into the 2000s even, since internet gaming has become so large and popular. Games like World of Warcraft and League of Legends and the newer Battle Royale style video games have been hot new gaming style that people have been getting sucked into. One of the interesting things about these games are there aren't really any end to them. They have different tiers and rankings that people try to get to, with also in-game purchases to, customize your profile or character, along with in the battle royale games, your guns and equipment. So as the game goes on, you're able to, get into the higher ranks and further develop your character. Me personally, I don't have a whole lot of experience with these type of games. I have friends that play them and they love it. People at work that I work with are in love with it also. More previously to my experience would be in mobile gaming actually. I've never become addicted to mobile gaming, but I've definitely done my fair share of it. Considering I have two kids now, I don't exactly have the time to set aside and just play on my computer or a console. So when I have, a couple of minutes here and there, I might hop onto my phone and play some Pokemon Go or like a Puzzle Quest game or the new Harry Potter game that just had come out previously. A lot of people don't think about mobile gaming like other gaming consoles like computer, Xbox, PS4, but when looking at the actual numbers, 2018 mobile gaming industry pulled in $70.3 billion. Now that makes up for more than half of the total overall global revenue in gaming, period. So that kind of gives you a little bit more of an idea of how big this, new medium of gaming really is. Looking at it with some of the more popular ones out there, I think in 2018, a source that I found showed that Clash of Clans actually made $3.6 billion. And then I think that was the leading one, but then number five, one of the more better known name ones would be Pokemon Go made, what was it? $653 million. So yeah, they're definitely making a lot of money out there in the mobile industry. Moving back to the idea of the video game addiction, though, like as I had previously stated, World Health Organization had classified it as a legitimate disorder. But moving back into that a little bit more, simply just playing a video game a lot does not automatically mean that someone has a problem by their context. The hallmark of the disorder is that playing games overtakes other desires and that it continues or escalates despite negative consequences. A diagnosis would have to include evidence of this type of behavior lasting for more than 12 months, according to the World Health Organization. The disorder is only expected or suspected to affect around 3% of gamers. with the estimates as low as 1% in certain studies also. The purpose of including gaming disorder in as a legitimate disorder is to bring more attention to the issue and raise the visibility of treatments for those seeking help or for excessive video gaming. Those seeking treatment for compulsive or addictive technology use, including for gaming, have had trouble finding treatment that is covered by insurance. So, with that in mind, the just bringing the topic to light is also going to bring in more research and more resources to actually look into this, more thoroughly, considering, how big the video gaming industry is and how much our generation, the millennials, are, indulging in it. Speaking from, things that I have seen, personally out there, I had a friend back in high school whose brother was really into World of Warcraft. And despite me not actually being there for this crazy event, but to give you a little context, like this guy would, go to school, come home, game until, midnight, 1 in the morning. He wasn't, exactly well rested when he woke up for the next day to go to school. Grades were, being affected negatively. But what really, brought his issue to light was one day when his mom was trying to get him to do the chores around the house, which I guess had been put off for quite some time. And all of a sudden she had had enough and unplugged the internet while he was in the middle of a raid in World of Warcraft. Now, like I said, I wasn't here for this, but hearing it from my friend, who's his brother, was there for it, I guess he had just kind of lost his mind there for a bit and, legitimately went and grabbed a knife and tried to chase his mom around the house, screaming at her for unplugging the internet. Now, this sounds drastic, but this is like a real story. Nobody was harmed, but Sam definitely did go to counseling afterwards, and he was, forced to go live with his father at that point. So, yeah, kind of an idea of how engaged and dependent some people are on their video games. Another personal experience of mine was a couple of years ago, I'd say 3 years ago, when I was playing a mobile game called War Dragons. It's a kind of a real-time strategy game where it's a mix between tower defense and then a third person, which being you, the player, has to go through someone's base and destroy the base with like your different dragons. It's without getting into too much detail, it is pretty fun, very engaging, very good graphics. But while I was playing it, I ended up joining one of the in-game guilds, like a lot of games do. And after talking with a couple of the people that were a part of the guild for a long time, I found out that actually there were some serious people within our guild that threw a lot of money into this game. And when I mean a lot of money, I'm saying like thousands of dollars. And so after, going through the game for a while and being there for, I don't know, a couple months or something like that. I didn't have a job at the time, but no excuses. Anyways, I found out actually that the leader of our little guild was actually a retired lady that was friends with a couple of the other people who informed me that she had, used her pension money and retirement money and spent over, I think, $15,000 to get to a, certain level and tier in the game. And after hearing this, I also found out that there's a term for that kind of mobile gamer, and it's called a whale, implying, that they got so big or whatever from just paying into the game. So, yeah, there's a lot of mobile games out there that are designed to, just get you to do their in-app purchases in order to become at a different level and enjoyment of the video game itself. Now, obviously, I don't know these people's actual playing habits in real life or anything, but I mean, I feel like this is kind of a example of an extreme amount of energy and resources being put into a game, considering $15,000. Now, for the two personal experiences I just shared, there is private treatment facilities out there that are geared towards this kind of gaming addiction. My friend's brother, Sam, actually went to one of those for his treatment. But the big problem with these is that since it just recently was classified as a legitimate disorder, people's health insurance policies would not cover these types of treatment facilities, and so they're paid fully out of pocket. So another good thing after having this be a legitimate disorder by the World Health Organization, maybe things like this will actually be covered by the health insurance policies out there. After doing a little bit more digging around on the internet, the other stories out there of extreme, video game addiction have, attributed to, people losing their jobs, people getting divorces, losing their children. It's pretty serious stuff. So, now that it's getting more, exposure, hopefully, there'll be more research being put into it. And, even further than that, having the health insurance policies possibly be able to get involved. And that pretty much wraps it up. So it was fun doing my first podcast, and I look forward to doing the next one. All right, thanks.